Hey, just an opinion here with you. Shut up, you got a rifle. Just an opinion here with you on a very hot, very humid, muggy morning. But the recent torrential downpours that we've had here on the mid-Atlantic part of the East Coast have at least washed out some fresh brass from the sand. So I may come home with more than I brought, so that's always a good thing. But the reason we're here today at the range, enduring this warm weather, is to have a little bit of fun with the brand new Walther PPX that you see right here. This is a not an improved holster. It's a makeshift, sort of a one-size-fits-all belt slide type of thing. So certainly not going to be demonstrating any draws for you today, but we are here to look at the Walther PPX and put it through some paces. This will be the very first shots. So we're going to see how it feels to shoot, how much fun it is. That's the important thing. Get an idea, if we can, how accurate it is. See how it feeds different types of ammunition, how it performs with different types of ammo. So I'm going to get geared up and do the eyes, ears, hat, and all that good stuff, and then we'll get this show on the road. Going to do 2 magazines of 10 rounds each. And these are literally my very first shots, so I'm very anxious. You ever notice how somebody's reviewing a gun, especially they're doing the first shots thing, you know? It's like, you know, they get all Walter Cronkite on you, you know? It's like, well, we will be shooting some Blazer 9mm ammunition through this newly acquired firearm, and we will be shooting at 7-yard distance to a target of IDPA specification. When really, what they're thinking inside is, yes, I get to shoot this. All right, first shots through the hammer-fired Walther PPX in 9mm. Sweet. I'm telling you, it's sweet. Now I have loaded up the magazines to full capacity of 15 each, so we're going to run through the rest of that box, and let's take a look. Let's maybe go for some headshots, since we got a nice clean cardboard there. So far, I got to tell you, this is a sweet shooter. This is a very, very sweet shooter. The only difficulty I'm having, to be honest, right now is that my hands are so sweaty that it's not so much the grip, because this is a nice, well, I'll talk about that in more detail later, but this is a nice grip. Where I'm having a problem is with my support hand. just the fingers of my support hand just wanting to slide off the fingers of my grip hand. So it's a little challenging. For this next string, I'm going to switch targets. I'm going to switch to a clean, actually it's a target that's already got a few holes punched in it, but switch to a relatively clean target. I'm going to stay at my 7-yard mark. I'm going to shoot just a few rounds, I think 9 to be specific, of a standard premium self-defense round. This is a Federal Hydroshock 147 grain round. Okay, Federal Hydroshock 147 grain. PMC is what we're shooting right now. And I am going to I've moved back to the 10-yard line. So rather than go from 7 yards, I'm going to go from 10 yards and just continue to pick on that same target. All right, here we go. Whoops. Let's put our ears in. I bet I would not have gotten off 2 shots without noticing that. All right. Okay, starting now. Well, let's go for the head. One of the first things you notice, even when you just, if you go into the store and pick this thing up and handle it, or if you just even look at it in pictures or look at it right now in this video, you can really see that, especially when I put my hand in here, it's got a pretty high bore axis compared to a lot of modern pistols that are on the market today. You've got a good, inch or more between the top part of your grip and the web of your hand and the center line of the bore. And that's generally going to translate into additional recoil or additional felt perceived recoil, simply because, it'd be like the difference between holding the gun here, holding it like this. It gives you more action this way. But I didn't find that there was that much additional recoil to manage. A little bit, maybe, this sight lift was a little bit more pronounced, and maybe a couple of milliseconds longer to get that front sight back on target. So, would this be an ideal match gun? Probably not. Did it make much of a difference in terms of target shooting? Would it make a difference if it was some kind of a duty gun or a defensive weapon? No, I don't think so. I don't think it's enough to make a real big difference there. One of the other things is the magazine release. Now, Walther has kind of gone away from their they're unique, and you know, some people thought insightful and some people thought otherwise, but their magazine release was down in the trigger guard, down in here, which was an interesting design, and a lot of people were, you know, starting to like it. But anyway, they've gone away from that. They've gone back to the traditional frame-mounted button magazine release. This is a really nice magazine release. I believe it is reversible, so it is ambidextrous, or can become ambidextrous. I'm not exactly positive on that, but I believe it is reversible. But it's a large. It's raised well, but not too much, and it pushes really nice. You know, it's just easy to push. It's not difficult, and it's got a very positive release. You know, there's a nice spring assist. So, big thumbs up on the magazine release. Very functional. I noticed that the slide stop is a little difficult to operate with just a rake of your thumb, the way that you normally would. A lot of slide stops, you can just release that, you know, by just sort of a swipe of the thumb. This one, because it is so flush, let me try and get a view. Let me show you, the thing is just so flush, which is a good thing, but so much so that there's not much there for your thumb to grab on. I know there's one point in the video that while I'm shooting, I think, I can't remember if it's from the bench or standing now, but you can actually see me doing this, and it's because I was just kind of trying to get a feel for what I have to do to get that. And I found that it's almost like the way you have to change your grip sometimes to hit the magazine release. You almost have to change your grip to get enough thumb pad pushing against that slide stop to release it. So it's not a big drawback, but it's certainly an ergonomic consideration. One of the possibly controversial design elements of a Walther pistol, certainly a unique design element of a Walther pistol, is this very pronounced dog leg or bend in the back strap. I talked about that a little bit in my unboxing video, but from a practical standpoint and how it feels to shoot it, and the overall grip itself, I like it. It's got a very ergonomic. I mean, obviously these guys don't just, you know, wake up in the morning and say, hey, let's do it this way, it'll be fun. You know, they've put some research and development time into designing these pistols, especially a company like Walther, with brand reputation and a long history. So they don't just dream this stuff up, or maybe they do, but at least they vet it before they put it to market. One of the things that I found interesting, if you take your hand, and I'm going to use my left hand just for, makes it easier in the video, take your hand, put it in a straight position like that, and then sort of bring this thumb forward, like if you were gripping something. You see what happens right in here along the lower thumb, and then bring this pistol back. Look at that. It's an interesting design that really does marry the fit of the natural position of your hand and the lower thumb, and as you know, the thumb becomes the grip, the hard gripping portion of your palm. It really does. And then boom, right there. Now, you know, maybe they measured it for me, but the only thing that I noticed that is a little bit of a drawback, and the day I was shooting this, it was very hot, and so I was sweating a lot, and my hands were getting sweaty and wet, and you know, that's obviously not conducive to a good grip. And the one thing I found is most of your grip is these two fingers pulling straight back, and the grip of your thumb keeping your hand this way. So here's the power of your grip right along here in this center line, and that's pretty much in line with the I don't know, the apex of this bend, if you want to call it that, for lack of anything else. And I found that with a sweaty hand and having to grip a little tighter, that almost became a pivot point, you know, because I was putting so much pressure there, and because my hand had, you know, lubrication, sweat, it almost wanted to pivot a little bit. So that was interesting. The grip is good. I'm going to give the grip a thumbs up. I like it. It's got an interesting stipple design on it. It's a, see if we can zoom in here a little bit. Get the light to hit this just right. But it's got an interesting stippling design. It's almost got a swirl type of pattern. Almost looks like, you know, a milling machine left marks on metal. You know, the swirl pattern. Almost that, like that was the inspiration for it. But it's an interesting stippling. But at the same time, I think that it certainly would still benefit from, you know, a grip enhancement device or tool, such as a Talon grip. This is Herter's. You may be familiar with that brand. Used to be very plentiful at good prices. Now, now there is nothing that fits either of those two categories. I do still want to put some rounds at that orange dot on our target from this rest. I just want to get a good, and this will actually be good too, because factory ammo. You know, we can't throw in the inconsistencies or unknowns of hand loads. All right, here we go. Looking pretty good from what I see so far through my steamed up glasses. All right, where I'm holding is I'm holding my front sight dot directly over the orange dot. I know this bag is not meant for this task. I'm repurposing this bag. Only because if I use the bigger bag, you won't get to see as much. And we can't have that. All right. Well, again, we're at 10 yards, and from what I'm able to see from 10 yards, that's a pretty nice looking group. Another failure to feed. Interesting. That's gonna get old quick, isn't it? Damn it.
Oh, I'm getting very angry indeed.
These are the exact same loads, came out of the same box. These same hand loads that just gave me a problem in the PPX. And I'm going to try them in a Glock 34. And not just any Glock 34, but a Glock 34 with a lone wolf barrel, which if you know, is even more finicky than a stock Glock barrel about what it will and will not accept. So, what does that tell us? Well, I don't know exactly what it tells us, but what it tells me is ammunition that feeds and fires perfectly in my Glock with a lone wolf barrel has trouble in the Walther PPX. So, something to look further into. Yeah? So the most important group is this center group. From about, I think there were 1 or 2 that hit the in the 10 ring. Everything else was in the X ring. And I was aiming obviously for this orange dot. And this was with Herders. Herders is a, you know, sort of a target grade, plinking grade ammunition. Certainly not a match grade ammo, but it performed very well and very consistently. And this is at 10 yards, 30 feet, and at that range, the white dot on the front sight of the PPX is almost exactly the same size as the orange dot on this target. So I just overlaid the white dot onto the orange dot, and this is the resulting group. And it pretty much just ate a big hole out of the middle of the target, which was great. Now these hits that you see, let me move this gun out of the way. Move this. Give a little bit better look. Now these hits that we see up here, that are all up in the 9 ring and you know, a few in the 10 ring, sort of half and half, I guess. Those were hand loads, actually. So certainly there's a less consistent, less reliable nature, and they were from a couple of different batches of loads. So I wasn't putting a lot of scientific method into what was happening there, but I just wanted to kind of test, you know, with the kind of ammo that I'm going to want to shoot. So those are the results. Like I say, the impressive results, certainly by far, is that. So would I consider the Walther PPX an accurate gun? Yes, I would. Alright, let me demonstrate the takedown process for the PPX. It's pretty easy, pretty intuitive. Basically, what you need to do is you need to lock the slide back. So we're going to do that. Now once the slide is locked back, then you want to use this takedown lever right here under the Walther name. And this takedown lever needs to be rotated clockwise. So if you can see there's an arch cut out in the slide right there, and this needs to rotate through that arch like this. Okay, so basically you're moving this lever downward, but just think of it as clockwise. Then once you've done that, you simply unlock the slide, let the slide come forward. There's no need to worry about decocking. This is not a striker fired, it's a hammer fired pistol, so you don't have the step of making sure you decock before the slide will come off. So once you do that, then you simply would perform a normal field strip. Everything else is going to be pretty much the same. Recoil spring comes out, barrel comes out, dog hair gets everywhere. So you would do your normal cleaning. Same with the frame. You would do your normal cleaning. You know, we have here, you can see we have a hammer rather than a striker. And let's take a look at the barrel. Well, we've got this guy out here. We're taking a look at him. I did have those failures to feed, and I've looked at the barrel some and tried to figure out if there's just, you know, if it looks like a design issue that's going to make that finicky or what. I've noticed a couple of things right off the bat without taking into consideration anything to do with failures to feed. Number one, the feed ramp is very highly polished, so it's a nice looking feed ramp, and the mouth of the chamber is really nicely beveled. It almost looks like it has like a double bevel to it, but it's rounded, very nice right at the mouth, and beveled really well leading into it. So to just look at that, I wouldn't expect that would produce many failures. You would think the opposite. And again, the feed ramp is nice. It's very highly polished, but there seems to be, you know, kind of I already see a little bit of a mark where it looks like the bullets tend to strike a particular place, and it's pretty high up. But now just for comparison, I wanted to compare the angle to a standard Glock barrel. So first of all, let's look at it head on. So here's our Glock barrel right here. This is the standard Glock barrel out of a Glock 34, and here is our Walther barrel. Now you can see Walther gives you a much longer and more polished feed ramp. Glock gives you a bit of a wider, more of a keyhole shaped feed ramp, a little wider at the bottom, tapers up toward the chamber. Actual angle, it's hard to say. It looks like they're similar. I mean, the configuration is totally different, but if you take away the design configuration, it looks like the angle is very similar. Making sure that your takedown lever is still in the downward position. You want to position the slide along the rail and move it back to a slide lock position. Let me expand this a little bit. Okay, so relock the slide, return the takedown lever to its fully upright and most uncomfortable position, and then release the slide lock, do a function test. And you're good. So that's it, pretty simple. That's the takedown. Here's a little side-by-side. In the unboxing video, I gave most of the specs about the size of the PPX. And those are meaningful, obviously. It's good to know those specs, but there's a lot to be said for a side-by-side with a comparable, either a comparable handgun or one that is extremely well known. And I think in this case we've struck both of those chords with the Glock 17. So here we have the Glock 17, and here we have the Walther PPX. So let's just for reference, really, here's a look at the two side by side, and they're very similar in many ways. The length, the height, Actually, the PPX comes in at much higher in terms of, you know, the height. The PPX is every bit as thick as a Glock 17. You know, it's also chunky. It's definitely got a chunky look and a chunky feel to it. Nose to nose, front sight to front sight, and they are almost exactly the same length. Good comparison of the two. And I'll take them off of this stand, and we can look, setting them both side by side. There's you know, they have a different shape, but you can see that there's the difference. Whoops, there we go. There's the difference in height. Significant. That's a better than ½ inch difference in height. Otherwise, every other dimension is almost identical. I mean, height-wise or lengthwise, pretty much the same. Different configuration, obviously. Trigger guard is much more forward. 1.47 and a half. 1.47. 1.145. And then the Glock 17. 1020. Let's see. Glock 17 is just over an inch. My blinking caliper telling me to change its battery. So it's just over an inch. So this, the Walther PPX is significantly thicker. All right, so what's this gun's, what's its niche? What would you use this for? Why would you buy it? First of all, would you buy it? Is it worth buying? Well, I think it is. I think it is. There's a lot that I like about it. There's some things that, you know, I've only put a couple hundred rounds through it so far, so, you know, keep that in mind. But there are some things that I need to, that are upon further review, so to speak, like failure to feed and such. But it's a nice gun. It's very well designed and engineered. It's very well made. The fit and finish is good. So, you know, what would you use it for? What's the purpose? Well, let's start eliminating things. Would this be a good carry gun? I don't know. If you carry outside the waistband, you know, if you always wear a coat and you can wear an outside the waistband holster, and the size of your carry gun is not that big a deal to you, then sure, it could be. If it's a duty gun, like if you're security and you're going to wear an exterior holster, a visible holster, not a non-concealed carry, sure, absolutely, it would fit that bill. Concealed carry, I don't know. You know, for me, I can pretty much guarantee no. There's two dimensions that are critical. One is the thickness, and this thing is very thick. You know, I mean, I obviously, I just demonstrated that I could carry my Glock 17 a lot easier than this, because this is significantly thicker and it's significantly longer in height. What's the purpose of it? I think it's an excellent range gun. If you want to do a lot of target shooting and plinking, just having fun at the range, it's a great gun for that. Home defense, I think it makes for a very good home defense gun. With the caveat, again, about the feeding issue and the reliability there. Now I will say I did not have any failures of any kind with any of the other factory ammo, and I put several different types through it. But I would definitely want to feel a little more comfortable, have a little more time go by with some more people testing and weighing in on that before I trusted it to that. But let's talk about aesthetics for just a second. It's you know, a bit of an ugly duckling, I think, to a lot of people's eye. I don't know. I like handguns, so I almost find something to love about any handgun. unless it's a real piece of garbage. So it's you know, it's interesting looking. It's an interesting design. You know, the dog leg in the back strap is probably the most noticeable departure from most of the other gun designs that you're going to see out there. So that might be the thing that gives most people a little bit of trouble. But you know, I think it's fine looking. It's you know, it's tactical. It's got that modern tactical look that the XDs and you know, the M&Ps and all that you know, are going for. So I don't have any issues with its aesthetics. In summary, I'll break this down into the official Just an Opinion 2 categories: grins and gripes. The Walther PPQ, or PPX. What gun is this? Let me give you an idea how hot and humid it is out here. Every time I put these earplugs in my ears, I hear and feel squish. Pretty gross, isn't it? My camera just shut off, and I tried turning it back on. It said unable to continue until camera cools down. So that's how hot it is. What I'll do later is I'll substitute that target for one with a, you know, about a 3-inch group in the center of the head. You'll be oh so impressed.